All right, there we go. I think we are live. Hello, 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 my friends. We're going to wait just a second and let some people jump on. So I am Jody Harvilla, and this is Danny. Is it Fierro?
Fiero.
Fierro. And we've actually done a few trips together now, but
Yeah.
we walk the Camino together. So we wanted to jump on. We have a couple other ladies that might be jumping in the comments and stuff too. But everyone's in different time zones. Everyone's in different places. And so Carol's in the airport right now. So hopefully they will jump in the comments too. But we wanted to jump on tonight because we were all getting all these questions around the Camino and our experience. And I thought, well, let's do a live. And so we can answer some questions for people. So we'll get started in just a minute. Don't post your questions yet. I also put my link up for October. I'm doing tricks and treats, which is I will be on live on social media every day, Monday through Friday, possibly on the weekends. But I'm going to be doing some spiritual fun every single day of the month of October and bring in some of the stuff that we learned and some of the tools and some of the foundational things that I've known. So that's starting October 1st. If you want to sign up for it, so you can be included in the prizes and get the recordings and things, I put the link up there. Okay. So Danny, why don't you tell them just a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
So I'm out of Arizona, Phoenix metro area. I've known Jody for a while now. Gosh,
Oh,
how long has it been?
I know. You know what? I was trying to figure that out too, and I'm like, how long have we known each other?
We probably since like 2020.
I think so too. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. It's gone
Yeah,
by fast.
something like that.
I love hanging out with Jody, working with Jody. I also do some energy work. And we were doing lots of energy work while we were there, definitely.
It was really
Um,
fun. We totally teamed up. It was super fun.
and love to do coaching as well. And I just, I love Jody's community, and I love this spiritual community.
Yeah.
And I love traveling with our spiritual buddies, and so it's just been so much fun, and it's opened me up and changed me in so many ways. And this was just one of those experiences. So
Yeah. Were you a hell yes when you heard about it, or
yep.
did you have to think about it?
Nope. I was a hell yes immediately.
I was too.
Um,
As soon as she said it, I'm like, put me on the list. I'm going. And she's like, well, I
yeah.
don't even have it figured out. I'm like, don't care. I'm doing it. Like, I'm a yes on that too. It was a hell yes for me too.
Yeah, there was no hesitation. And sometimes there's been situations or events that is like, let me think about it. Ooh, I really want to, but no, this was just an absolute yes.
Yep. We're going to figure it out. And it's a yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just to give you guys a little, Linda, you can watch the replay. It will stay on our Facebook pages, so you can watch the replay. So where we started was about a year. I heard about it like a year and a half ago. So we had about a year and a half prep time, and we had a pre-trip and a post-trip and the Camino, which Danny did not. You didn't do the pre or the post, right? You
No, I didn't.
Post trip, but
Right.
you met us in Saria.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No. Viana de Castello.
Yeah.
I met you guys there. I wasn't part of it. I just, I
You
crashed
flew
the
in
party.
there. Yeah, which is great. Yeah, so we actually went to Portugal for a few days, and then, which I actually would highly recommend to go a few days ahead of time to get over the jet lag. Jet lag coming home, honestly, was way worse than going there, I think. Because we left at night, we were tired, we stayed up. So, but I would absolutely do a few days ahead of time again. And I would also do the after days too. Because I think it's such a big experience that you need some integration days before you come home. And I think we all struggle coming home a little bit with different things. So when we did the Camino, we actually started in Saria. And someone asked, she's not on live tonight, but one of the questions she asked is, how did we pick that route? And we actually went with a group. So we went with Sunny Dawn Johnston's group. She does a ton of travel. She's so great. Her and her team are so fabulous to travel with. And she does
so
a lot.
Grateful for them.
I know. And she does a lot of trips, and there's usually a ton of women on these trips because, quite honestly, a lot of women want to travel and they don't want to travel alone, or they don't really know how. Like, I've never traveled internationally. So I was like, amen. I will go with a group because if shit happens, someone will help.
Right.
Like, I was afraid of the international travel because I've never done it. I don't speak any other language. Like, I think me and Nikki were like, we got to keep Danny around. She like speaks Spanish. It was super funny. And so for me, I was afraid of the international travel, and it was way easier than I expected. What was nice about the group is I got to sit by my friends on, like, I wasn't going to sit by Nikki. I'm like, oh no, I don't like that. And then I was with Chris and Deb, who is part of Sunny's team. And I was like, oh, then I'm fine. Nope, I'm fine. They'll totally, if I freak out, they'll be fine. But Sunny is the one that picked the route, and I love the route she picked because it's a section of the Camino that it's the shortest section of the Camino that you can do and still be considered that you walk the Camino. And I think one of the reasons she picked that is her audience is, I think the youngest was 45, and I think the oldest person was 78. Wasn't she 78 or 79?
Yeah.
79, actually. I think she was 79. And so it was a little bit older group. And so none of us really could take a month off or take 2 months off like a lot of people do for the bigger, longer things. So if you just want an experience, but you can't take a month off of work, Sarria to Santiago is perfect. It was really perfect because we walked it in 6 days. Right?
Yeah, 6 days. And it's actually the most popular.
Yeah,
that whole route, the Frances, is the most popular, and that section is the most popular because you get to experience it and still get the Compostela.
Yeah, yep. And what I thought was great about that is I just thought it was such a unique experience because we could do it in a week, because there was a lot of people that showed up the day before and they left the day after. So they didn't have to take, a month off of work or almost 3 weeks like we did. But they asked, why you picked that route. That's why. And they asked if you would do it again now that you know. I wouldn't do the same route again, but I would do a different route. And I would 1,000% walk another Camino. I think I don't know that there's maybe one or two people that would say that they wouldn't do it. But I think most of the group would be all about it. I put you on, Kat, so be aware.
You're on mine. You're on the air.
But for me, I wouldn't rewalk that route. I loved it, but I wouldn't rewalk it. Would you, Danny?
I love the route. I might not right away. I think maybe down the road with a longer, maybe if I was going to do a little bit more of the route, maybe. But yeah, I'd be more interested in doing a different one. Carol was saying that North Spain is so gorgeous along the coast. There is a Camino route there. There's a lot.
That's the one that I would like to. Yeah, there's a lot of different routes. I wonder why I'm not seeing her comments.
If you go to private chat, you can see her comments there. It's not showing up on.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you can keep an eye on that, and I'll keep an eye on.
I'll do that.
One. Okay. All right. Perfect. Kat, would you walk that same route again, or would you go on a different one?
I'd want to go on a different one because that's already one we experienced, and I'm glad I did it and I loved it. But I would want something different, maybe along the coast from Vigo up to Portugal, something like that. But
I really want to do the. Yeah, I really want to do the coast one. That would be fun for me. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments and we can start asking some questions. These are just some people have been asking me.
I had a question on one of my posts. Hold on. Go ahead, keep going, and then here we go. How has the Camino changed you?
Oh, that's a big ass question. That's such a big question.
That was from Joy.
You go first, Danny.
It started changing me before I even went. Just the preparation. I learned how to pour into myself. I learned to do things for me because that's what the preparation was about. And of course you want to get conditioned, you want to be able to do, but I wanted to take care of my body. So because I've done a half marathon and untrained, and it was horrible. Horrible. Like my poor body was in so much pain. I was cramping, and that was one day, and we were doing 6 like that in a row. So I really had to take care of my body, and health wise, I've been all over the place. And this was the time that I was like, this is for me. I really want to do this trip. It wasn't a have to, it was I get to.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of that. Another one of the things I learned and was prepping myself, because I tend to try to get to the destination, get there fast. I was always about my pace. Like, okay, I gotta be fast. I gotta get there. And I had to remind myself as I was training that when I'm there, I need to take my time and I need to look around and see. And the first day I was speedy.
You were running.
I was. and I still saw and I still felt the awe of just the beauty around me. But I made a decision that I'm like, here going out, no. And so I, would make sure to hang, I was hanging with Jody, I was taking pictures, I was stopping. She always had her little phrase of, oh, that's beautiful. And I knew that was like, okay, I need to slow down.
Hey, Danny, look at that.
That was my cue to slow down because I was going. And I don't regret it at all. It was the best thing ever. I have so many beautiful pictures because of that. And I get to revisit my experience because of that.
Yeah.
So those were just a few.
I know there's really, so much, right?
It really has changed me a lot. So
in a lot of ways.
In many ways.
How'd the Camino change you, darling?
Oh gosh. So first of all, I want to say Danny takes beautiful pictures.
I know. I can't wait for him. And she's got like 2,000 pictures or 1,000.
I was kidding on that. I don't know.
No, I have 500 and you took way more than me. So I bet you do have at least 1,000 pictures. And then the first day she went ahead of me. And one of the things was I was with another group. I'm like, wow, that's so pretty. Danny will get a picture of it. And then I'd be like, oh my God, that's so gorgeous. Danny will get a picture of it. Because I was like fighting for my life the first day. And they were just laughing. They're like, does Danny know she's supposed to get pictures? I'm like, yeah, I brainwaved her. She'll know.
And she did, right?
And she did.
And she did. Yeah. So how it changed me, I agree with Danny. I think there's so many different ways, but really being present. Mm-hmm. And the first 2 days were so exhausting. Mm-hmm. And for me, in Carol, I paced with Carol, and it was just getting to the finish line, kind of, right? Because it was so challenging. And then after that, slowing down. But I mean, our purpose was to get up, get our luggage packed, get on the trail for, 7, 8 hours, come back, take your shoes off, shower, have dinner, and repeat. And that's all we had to do for 6 days. And so I didn't think about politics. I didn't think about the stuff around the house that I have to do. It was so beautiful to just be with other spiritually minded people. Yep. And to be part of this and so in your body. Yeah. I'm always out in the ethers. Mm-hmm. So
shocking, Pat. Shocking.
Right? You have to be in your body when you're walking for a day. And so I've never experienced anything like that so consistently. And it was really beautiful. I miss it.
Yeah. And powerful. And powerful.
Very powerful and magical and all that stuff. And of course, doing it with you guys and everybody else was, wow, just amazing.
I know it kind of takes your breath away a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
For me, I think the prep time, it starts as soon as you say yes to the Camino. Like your Camino starts as soon as you say yes. And so it was absolutely first thought, last thought for like a year and a half. And so by the time we left, I was like, oh my God, we just have to get this trip over with. Like I was just so consumed by it. And I remember a lot of the things I thought about because I needed to train, and I thought it was so different than I expected, because I really thought we're going like town to town, which we did, but I didn't expect so much of the beauty and the fairy forests and the views, and I didn't want to be miserable. Like, I remember, like, I got to go out and fucking walk because I do not want to be miserable, because at this point, when I first started, I wouldn't have been able to complete the Camino. There's no way. And the first day I was miserable, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? This is horrible. This is horrible. And I had migraine, and the food was there. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And by the second morning, thank God Sunny was there, because she kept asking. I was in her group, and I was never in her group because they're fast walkers, and I'm one of the slowest. And she's like, how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? And I'm like, I know she's talking to me. So I finally had my little freak out with her, and I had these stories come up about I can't do this, and that was one of the stories I wanted to let go, because I really went intentionally to let go of some things, and that was one of the things. And she's like, well, what do you mean? You're already doing it. She's like, Jody, tell me something that you thought you can't do that you haven't done. And I'm like, that list is empty. And she's like, yeah, you should think about that a little bit. It just like shifted everything. And then I remembered my intention was to create a magical Camino for me.
Yeah.
And we went and we stopped at that place. We went to the restroom. We met Merlin, the dog. And I'm like, his name is Merlin. I'm like, and the magic has started. And from then on, and even the second day, like Danny and I were like, we call that Hell Day, by the way, because it was a fucking 10-mile long fucking hill. Wasn't quite that long, but
there's a few hills. There's just one.
A lot. But we still had fun, and it was 18 miles. We might have cried at the end, but we were still laughing, and it was still magical, and we would stop. And I was really excited to, like, in the morning I was mad because my friends were all outpacing me. Like, you guys all were ahead of me, and I was mad because I couldn't physically keep up. And then the second day I was like, I'm okay going slow, because I'm not going to miss an inch of this place, like not even an inch. And for me, that was most important. So whoever wanted to walk with me was great, and whoever was ahead, that was great too. Like, I really got a better mindset around some people are fast, some people are slow. And Sunny was funny because I'm like, oh my God, my pace is so slow. And she's like, do you know there's like 100 people behind you that are walking slower? And I was like, all right, I give, like, I surrender. I will enjoy myself. And it was like, I learned how I fight against what my intentions are. And when I just let that go, like, the whole rest of the Camino was amazing. It was just amazing and magical, and all this cool stuff happened. So I think how I fight against myself, and when I finally let it in, how it comes in. Yeah. So it was really cool.
In respect to that, Jody, because the first 2 days I walked so fast just because if I stopped, I knew, like, I was.
Vicky said that too. She's like, I can't stop. I just have to go.
Right. But after that, when Carol and I, at some point, we were walking with you guys, it was beautiful, because before I didn't stop to look at the magical forest. I was just looking at my next step. I was looking down, and you would stop and go, feel the tree. No, it like, but I didn't stop to feel that, right? I stopped and did all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, yeah, there's all this stuff around. And it was wonderful, because that brought the magic in for me. Because
you were talking to the plants the whole time and giving them high fives and hello. I was like, wow, she's worse than we are. We were about the trees, and you're like, hi, little bug. Hi, roaches. Hi. And we were just giggling. It was so funny. I was like, look at her. She's just enjoying everything. Hi, slug. It was very funny. It was super funny.
Yeah, I think
you know what I thought was really funny too? There were so many obvious magical moments that they just cracked you up. Like Danny, there was one point where her hand was on this tree full of moss.
Yeah.
And I saw it before she saw it, and she had her hand and she looked at me and she goes, Jody, do you think these trees have spirits? And I just busted out laughing. I said, Danny, you should look at that tree because it literally had eyes and a smile in it. And I was like, and she looked at, she just like got surprised. She's like, holy shit, I didn't even see that. And I'm like, that was the funniest thing. Like they were joking with us.
Yeah.
Like, the energy and the spirits and like all of that stuff was literally having fun with us because we were having fun on the trail. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really, that was fun for me to watch everyone become present.
Yeah, it was fun watching everybody play. Everybody started to play after those first couple of 2-3 days. Yeah, then people started to play, and that was fun.
Yeah, people were singing, and there was ladies giving shots. What were they? Tequila shots.
Oh, tequila shots. Yeah,
we didn't take them. We didn't know. I would have, but we didn't take them. There was another group that was singing and yelling and screaming for us to go put our feet in the water.
Oh, yeah.
And I did, which I had wanted. I think that was the third day. Day. And one of the things that I kept saying in my hair, I kept feeling, I was like, I know there's somewhere to put my feet in here. I know there is. So as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, I'm stopping. You guys can go on, but I'm stopping. But my feet, one of the things, this was something I wanted to share with everyone too. So the first day my feet hurt so bad and I wore the wrong kind of shoes for my feet. And Kat, that's how we met. She was like, well, I can rub your feet. I'm like, please, can you? And my head hurts. And like, oh, I was just miserable. And we talked about my shoes and I literally know she was talking, my feet were like, oh my God, where are the other shoes? And I also talked to an energy teacher of mine. And she said, you're not grounding deep enough. She said in the morning, ground yourself deeper than you've ever ground yourself and fill yourself with a shit ton of light. Her words, shit ton of light. Cindy Sheldon Brown. And I did that the next day and my feet were tired at the end of the day, but they did not hurt the rest of the week. Not once. Yeah. And I thought that is a miracle. My body didn't hurt. My knees didn't hurt. My hips didn't hurt. My back didn't hurt. And I didn't get any blisters. And I know in that grounding and filling and being so present, I also walk slow, but I still was walking the miles and all of that. But I thought that was fascinating because I typically have body pain and it was amazing that I didn't. So that's a trick for people. Ground yourself deeper than you think and then yourself with a shit ton of light. That was a really cool thing.
They also heal.
Yeah. There was a lot of healing that went on that I also didn't expect. Like there was a day, it was so funny. So we had an experience we'll talk about in a minute. And Sunny came around the corner and she's like, what the fuck have you all gotten yourselves into? Which was a super funny thing for Sunny to say. Like she could just see. She was like, what happened? And we were all just like sitting there. And then she started doing some energy work on us. And I think all of us kind of had said we had never had that kind of energy work from her. Like she was literally like pulling stuff out and clearing us. And Danny and I do that work. And Kat does some of that work too. And she took me over. She's like, you got to go stand by that tree and get on the grass. And there's only one other time in my life that I felt something like that. But it was like this energy from my feet came up and out and I was sobbing, just sobbing. And I had no idea what it even was. And she was so beautiful about just allowing it to come up and come out. And there's people all over.
Yeah.
And I don't know that anyone even saw us, quite honestly, because you just feel shielded there. And like, everyone's just like, walk your own Camino, whatever. She's crying by the tree. Like you don't even think twice about it. But watching her do that work for others too, to me, that's such sacred work. And we had a few moments with different people doing that. Oh, it was so beautiful. And to have that experience, I was like, oh my God, that felt so. And she later, just the other day, she was like, you were letting go of pain that's always held you back. And I didn't know it. I didn't ask at the time. I wasn't ready to know what it was. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So I thought that was an unexpected beautiful bonus of the Camino as well, is that we were playing and doing energy work too.
Yeah.
So that me and Danny cleared a lot of people on the trail on one day, and everyone's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Can we have?"
They're all getting in line. They don't know what they're getting in line for, but they're getting in line for it.
Yeah, it was so fun, and I realized also that's when I realized that, number one, how important community is.
Yes.
And that it feeds you, because every time we did a clearing for somebody, the next 3 miles was just easy for me. It was just awesome. It was just so beautiful. So I thought that was really cool. What other questions you guys have? I saw one here. Linda, the coastal walk I have heard is 14 days, but I don't know how long and how many miles. So that's a longer one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did like 15 miles, 18 miles. I think we had a couple 13 miles, 15 miles. I don't know. I always had more miles than other people because I think I walked littler steps. Do you have any questions on your side, Danny?
I don't think I had any more.
I think we should talk about the witch in the woods, because that was really freaking cool.
That was very cool.
Let's do it.
That was great.
Okay, Kat, you tell it. Hold on, Joy has a question. Did it feel like you got enough food and water? I'll answer that, and then you can see what these other girls say. So for me, the food was tough. For like breakfast was like pastries and gross ham and cheese. And when I do walks and stuff, like I like eggs and potatoes and, like a hefty breakfast. So I didn't really love the food along the trail. It wasn't enough protein for me. Water, I was good. I drank a ton of water. I was really good about hydrating myself and all that kind of stuff. But I struggled with the food along the trail, and I didn't bring snacks like protein bars and stuff like that, because I knew there were little places to stop along the way. A couple places had great food. Like one day we found amazing eggs and bacon, although their bacon is Canadian bacon and they don't cook it all the way. But we found some different meals like that. But I struggled a little bit feeling like I had enough fuel. But the Camino provides, so a lot of my friends would, they'd share a protein bar with me or something, which was helpful for me. How about you girls? Did you feel like you got enough food and stuff?
I brought protein bars, so I did. You would usually have one with me just in case. I enjoyed the food. I am a charcuterie. Yeah. I'm an adult Lunchables girl. Charcuterie boards.
No, I disagree. I think you're a much more adventurous eater than you give yourself credit.
No. I mean, I love that stuff. That's why the breakfast didn't bother me so much. I'm adventurous. Yeah, I'm adventurous. I like that kind of stuff, but I also like that. So the breakfast didn't bother me. I loved the coffee, the orange, like nothing messed with my stomach. I loved.
No, I didn't have anything mess with
the food. I was good, but we did so much walking. We really didn't. I lost weight.
Yeah,
I gained it back probably since I've been back, but but it's because it's not because there isn't enough food available. It's just you're busy. Like you eat like you normally would. That's just how your mind works.
Yep.
And I really wasn't like, I wasn't like starving.
Nope. I
think we were getting filled up in other ways, through just like energetically, we were getting filled up. Yep. And so I didn't ever feel starving. I didn't ever feel like I didn't have what I needed. Of course, there were times when I was hungry, and water wise, was water available. I didn't drink as much as I should have, but I didn't get dehydrated either. I made sure to do as I said before, I really made sure to take care of myself. I did things every day to make sure I took care of myself. And although I didn't drink how much I normally would have liked to, I was fine. And when I noticed I needed to hydrate, I did. And so it wasn't a matter of not being available.
Yeah, yes. Most of us used electrolytes. Not everyone loves them, but I think a lot of us survived on them.
Jody loves my electrolytes.
Oh God, they were so bad. They were so bad. I brought some, and then one day I was short, and oh my God, they were so bad. It was so bad, but I was like, I don't care. I need it. You just eat what you need to eat, because it's for fuel. You're not eating for entertainment.
Right. But it was fun, and it was fun seeing the different ways. I actually, yes, you're right. With a lot of the times with the bacon, it wasn't. But that one place we stopped at in the woods,
Yeah.
they made the best breakfast. It was so good.
It was so good. And we were just like, oh my God. I think we ate in like 2 minutes because it was just we're like, oh my God, they have real breakfast. We're stopping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
How about
that's
you,
my
Kat?
story.
I was more like you, Jody. I struggled with the food. I don't eat pork and usually don't eat any beef, so I was really limited.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't love a lot of the fish options.
No, I didn't either. And I eat fish, but I was like,
I like sushi a lot, but when it comes in the clams and oysters and that kind of form, so I struggled with the food. I did on the very first place before we left. I went to a grocery store and got some granola bars. So that saved me and Carol. And so we both had those. And I drink a ton of water, and I had a huge Camel pack, and I always had extra liters. So I was fine with that, but probably did not eat enough food. And I think that impacted, the first few days. I missed dinner because I was too tired to even eat. So I just slept the first 2 nights.
I remember that picture.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Go in and I'm like, yeah. I couldn't move. I just couldn't move. The breakfasts were better for me. I love the coffee, by the way. Coffee.
Yep, the best.
If you were a coffee drinker on this trip, you were a happy camper.
Yeah.
I brought my tea because no one else had chai tea. So I would just have a Coke, which I loved. It was great.
Yeah, the coffee was outstanding. But I struggled with that, but I had extra to lose also. So I was fine.
I think we all kind of like figured it out. It just wasn't our favorite.
Right. Until the end. And we found that lasagna. Best lasagna I've ever had.
Yeah. Yep. And our nachos were really good. On the full moon night.
Oh, those were good.
Yeah, we were all like craving nachos.
All meals were pretty good.
Yeah. Yep. Rachel asked if we'd do it again. I think all of us would do it again. I think we would just do a different trail. I don't think there's any
and I would
hesitation.
I would go longer than 6 days for sure.
I would too. And I would actually build, like, I wish we would have had, and we were on a time frame because of the trip and the group. But I would have had one rest day between Hell Day and the next day.
Yeah.
That would, and I think everyone kind of agreed with that, but you really don't, like, we were on a time frame because we had 36 people, which went so fucking smooth. Like, Sunny and her team, they were amazing. And they were phenomenal on hand. Like, we had to change hotels, and we had several hotels. It wasn't just one hotel to deal with. We had several hotels. Like, one night there was 7 different hotels.
7.
And so they did amazing. Kayla asked, did you carry trail packs with all your stuff every day? Some packs look small in the pictures. So this is the funny thing. This is super funny. So our suitcases were taken every morning by 8 a.m. to the next town that we were staying at, and they were delivered to our hotels. And so we didn't do anything with our suitcases. And it was nice to have our suitcases because we could bring more stuff. Yeah. And then Sunny really encouraged backpacks for those of us that wanted to carry stuff. And so I did not carry much in my backpack. I had like a sweatshirt, and I had extra water, and I had blister stuff. I didn't bring snacks, but I just had little stuff like that. Danny was packed to the gills with everything in the camping store that you could possibly need. So anytime we needed something, we asked Danny because we knew her big ass pack had it. And then Nikki was the funniest because she brought a little like cross bag, and she had her water in it. And I think one day I think she had her and she had chapstick, and she had like a raincoat, and she got more shit for that. Like she got more shit for that, and she was so happy because she didn't have a damn backpack to carry the whole time. So everyone lightened up their packs by the end of the week. Like we were stuffing shit in our suitcases, but we only could have our suitcases be a certain, I think it was 40 pounds.
Yeah.
So we had to be really careful what we left in our suitcases. But I would do it like that again. Like I would have my suitcase taken. I would still have some kind of a day pack. Because I think for me, it was important to have extra water all the time. I don't know. I just had a thing about making sure I had enough water, which I did. And there's plenty around. And Kat, you had a backpack too, didn't you, Kat?
Oh yeah. Remember? So, I did the same thing. I had blister stuff. I had extra water. I had a big camel pack, which I find. Yeah. But like in the mornings, it was really cold.
Yeah.
When we first start out. So I always had a sweatshirt. And then, once you go over that first freaking hill. You're taking it off.
Our hills are our friends, remember?
Right.
Yeah.
But I do want to tell everybody, and Jody's got a great picture of this. The last day I made sure I had my sandals with me so that when we were at the end getting the certificates, I could take my shoes off.
Oh my God, I was so angry.
I know. We were so jealous.
I'm like, oh my God, you fucking jerk. Oh, but you look so cute. Let me get a picture.
With you the last day.
So funny.
Get out of your heavy shoes. Yeah.
What is the elevation gain on the hills?
Do we know that? I
used to know it, but I don't remember. Eli looked it up for me. I don't know what the elevation was. Like we were not in high altitude.
No.
At all. That would have killed me.
No, but it was a lot.
It was getting there, but it wasn't like in Colorado mountains. It wasn't that.
No, but I would say it was at least 1,100 feet. Wouldn't you say some of them up and down? Because
I think that is
going over the hills.
Yeah, I think so. And it was so much more hilly than I expected.
Right.
And me training in Fargo. Yeah, in Fargo, it's flat here. So I was like, oh my God, the fucking hills. My God, the hills. And then by the last day, this is what I learned. There was a hill. I think Danny, you were with me, and I think Nadi was with us.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at that hill. We need to name that hill. Like Bobby Joe or something. What did I call it? Something like that.
There's a Billy.
I think it was Billy Joe.
One.
I think it was Billy Joe. And I'm like, dude, can you please flatten out for us a little bit as we walk up? And we're walking up, and I was like, I think this hill flattened out. Why would we not have done this on the second day with all those damn hills? And it literally kind of leveled out. And I'm like,
it did.
Doing hard things and making it easier. Like it was like so many life lessons, and it wasn't a walk. I've had friends that are like, oh, it's just a walk. I'm like, nope, not for us. It was not a walk at all. It was so much more than just a walk.
Yeah.
Kayla said, yep, great way to do it. I would use my water pack like the hiking in Sedona. Sounds like I would struggle to leave the trees. You would never leave the trees, Kayla. She would climb the trees in Sedona, and it was hard to get her out of them. You would really struggle with that because there were parts where I was like, if Danny wasn't walking with me, I think I would sit here for a couple hours, which is not a good idea because you have to get to the next town. But I was like, oh, I could sit here all day. So yeah, you would struggle with that. I think almost everyone wore really different varieties of good hiking tennis shoes. I do know a couple people wore hiking boots. A lot of people switched shoes halfway through the day. I didn't switch shoes, but I switched socks. Danny, I think it was the second day.
Yeah,
we stopped. And because I was very vigilant if I felt a hot spot, and she kind of looked over and she's like, oh, you should put something on there. And so I put some moleskin on there, but I would change socks every day anyway, but I personally didn't change my shoes. Did you guys change shoes?
I didn't. I was training with Topos, which is what Shad had, and it had more cushion, but they got some good wear. The thing is though, and my foot has a tendency, like my ankle has a tendency to roll. And right before I fell in those, and I'm like, these are probably not the best shoes. So I wore Ultras, and they don't have as much cushion, but I had way more stability, and they worked for me.
Yeah, and I wore my Ultras on the first day. They were not okay for me. So
Yeah.
I had a different style of Ultras that had a bigger cushion. Do you know what kind you wore, Kat?
I don't. I think they're called Ultras by
Yeah, I think you had
Oh,
Ultras
yeah, you
too.
had my shoe. You did.
Yeah.
You had Ultras too.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was a really wide toe box.
Yep. Which
Yeah.
I love that.
Right.
And I ended up loving those shoes.
Mhm.
I did. I think I got creeper socks, so the ones with the individual toes.
Yep, that I loved. I love my toe socks.
Jody. I got that, and then I put another pair of socks over, and I didn't have any blisters. My feet didn't slide. But some people that had blisters, they had a tough time.
Oh my God. There were some people that had some nasty blisters. I wore merino wool socks, and I just don't get blisters. And I actually started affirming that 2 years ago. I'm like, nope, I don't get blisters. I never get blisters. Don't get blisters. And I was vigilant if I felt a hot spot with wool and stuff. And then other ladies definitely got blisters. Like there was some that got really bad blisters. And I think if we would have kept walking, I definitely know my feet were getting to the point where they're like, you should stop. Like, you should take your shoes off. So I was lucky that I didn't have any blisters.
I had this foot glide stuff that I would put on my feet every morning before my walk. And then I had the toe socks. And I think that helped. I don't typically get blisters either, but I think that definitely helped. Yeah. And then at night, whenever we went anywhere, I wear sandals. I wear like Tiva sandals.
I did. Yeah, I wore sandals at night. I think everyone kind of wore sandals at night.
Yeah.
The toe socks, if you're claustrophobic, you will hate them. I tried them. My friend bought me some. She's actually on the Camino right now. She's like, oh, you should try this toe socks. I was like, I'll try them. I'm like, nope. I know. No, they are trapping my little toes. No. But I have heard also if you have like toes that kind of overlap and stuff, I have heard those are great.
Yeah. And that's why I like them, because I have some of my little toes, they kind of go into the other ones sometimes.
Yep.
And when I wear regular socks, they bunch up and they would pull. And so they would hurt. It ended up hurting the tips of my toes. So these prevented that.
Yeah. So you got it, like it's so individual.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that we also learned was everyone was walking their own Camino.
Yeah.
And Sunny really put that forward for us from the very beginning. Because there were some people that if you couldn't make it, there is taxis available that you can call. And we had a woman that's 79 years old, and that chick is a badass. The first day, I think she walked 10 miles.
10 miles.
10 miles before she even, and it was hard. And there was hills, and she had a couple days she rested. She had a couple days she did taxis. There was several people that ended up with upper respiratory infections, and so there was a couple people that couldn't walk the whole way, or they took a day off or whatever. So there is relief there if you need it, and that was an option for all of us. But what I learned from one of the ladies, Janice, she was great. So on the last day, she took a taxi into the square, and some people were like, oh, did you feel bad that you didn't walk in? And she's like, oh my God, no, the taxi guy was so fun. He took me all over the town before he took me into the square. And I came in and the cathedral was there, and I got out, and it was like the best entrance ever. And I was like, see, everyone gets their own Camino. And I do think that was something our group for sure that we allowed people to have their own Camino, whether they were miserable, which that didn't last very long for anyone, that I don't think. And then if people were playful and people were tired, people were happy or whatever, to me, that was really awesome. I love that part. What time did you get back to your nightly destination, and what did you do then? So depending how fast you walked, I didn't get back usually. I was usually around 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Because I was slow, and I would go in my room and sit in my shower and put ice cold water on my feet, and I would sit there naked because I was too tired to find my underwear. And I would wonder, because I had my own room, and I was so happy I had my own room, because I would literally be so tired, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know where my underwear are. And I had my underwear in its own container because I knew that I didn't want to dig for underwear the whole trip because we had to keep packing and unpacking and packing and unpacking. And I'm like, oh my God, where's Nikki? Can she help me find my underwear? I'm so tired. And then we'd have to get redressed because this was annoying. To me, is we'd have to get redressed because they take siesta between 3 and 5 or between 4 and 6. And so you could never eat until after 7.
Mhm.
Most of us wanted to come back, eat, go to our room, go to bed because we were done. We were so tired. Now, some of the people that got back early, like they just busted through and got there early. A few of them would go out and kind of walk around town and stuff like that. I just never had the recovery time to do that. So, Kat, did you get back early or late? Were you an early or late girl? And we would start by 7:30. So we walked all day, friends.
Yeah, we were kind of finishing around 2:30.
Oh, God, you guys were early.
We were early, but we made this mistake, and we didn't. I don't recommend it. We would skip. We skipped lunch, and we didn't really. And then, so by the time we got to like the first place, and we got to our rooms, changed our shoes really quick, and then we went and got something to eat, and we did. It was like the best food ever. But the second night, I could barely eat afterwards. I went too long.
Yeah.
Right. So we made that. So we didn't do that again. After that, I think we need to stop earlier because it is siesta, and you could screw yourself out of eating, and you just expelled all these calories and get to the point where you're not honoring your body. And so we were feeling nauseous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Too much without stopping. So I didn't like eating at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Bad because I slept poorly. My body then digesting food.
Yep.
And it was super loud because there were so many of us. So I just wanted to crawl.
I know, and we all kind of wanted room service. And the hotels are as bare as you can think. You had 2 twin beds and terrible pillows, terrible mattresses, awful. And you didn't care because you were tired. And teeny tiny showers. Oh my God, the showers. And then then the tubs were teeny tiny. There's some
you had one.
There is some really great pictures of Sunny's husband that I wish I could show publicly because it's hilarious. He's like, hey, I'm in the tub, and he's like kind of in the tub with his feet up on the wall because they're so little. But yeah, it was, the hotels were probably a step up from like the albergue. How do you say it? Albergues. But so I'm glad we had the hotels because they were a little bit stepped up, but they were nothing special. So you are never staying in a 4-star hotel along the Camino. If you like luxury, the Camino is not for you. I didn't dry my hair once in 3 weeks. Like, we didn't use dryers, we didn't do makeup, we didn't do any of that kind of stuff. At least I didn't.
A few people put on makeup, and I just started to laugh. I'm like, what are you thinking? I didn't even breathe.
I wear makeup. I'm like,
I know, you don't even look like you worked by the end of the day, though. It was very, when you see the pictures, I look like this brown, sweaty rat. And then there's Danny. And I'm like, oh my God, why does she look like that in every day? This is the end of the day.
Pictures. I'm like, oh no, I have to put on my eyes at least.
So beautiful.
I tried mascara for 2 days and I cried it off with Sunny. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. That's so dumb. I don't know why I'm putting makeup on. But then I got really dark tan. So I was like, there's my makeup. That works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So funny.
It's so funny because Rachel puts, way to sell it, ladies. You don't go for the hotels. You don't go for the hotels. You go for the experience.
Yeah. And most people look like drowned rats like me. Danny just had she was so cute with her outfits and her big backpack, and she had posing. She was going to do a pose class for us all. Yeah. You'll see in the pictures. I'm like, and I'm like, oh my God, damn it.
Don't you feel like part of, we didn't like it, being that uncomfortable, right? Sleeping was tough. But also I think if we had been in these elaborate hotels, I'm not sure the experience would feel as raw.
I do not think, I 1,000% agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though for those of you listening, it was part of the experience, and I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it either. Yeah, and I had some great rooms, and I one of my favorite places that we stayed was on. You guys weren't there, but on the last night or last 2 nights, we stayed at
at the convent.
At a convent.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, like, how's this going to be? It was the most beautiful vibe to go to. Yeah. And the next day I wasn't feeling well. I got a little bit of that upper respiratory thing. And so I actually bailed out of the bus trip on the day after. And I had the best time because the nuns were out and they were doing their little chores for the day. And I was taking the laundry and I was doing Nikki's laundry. And I felt so like productive because the nuns were doing their chores. I was doing my chores and it was so peaceful. And I was like, oh, this is so great. And my spirit was like, go to the cathedral. Like almost like it yelled at me. And I was like, what? I'm like so happy. And I don't really feel well. Like I don't want to. And it's like, go to the cathedral. And so I was like, all right. So I had to get my shoes and stuff on and went to the cathedral and had a whole experience there. But it was such a cool hotel. Like and our rooms are little. Like they were little closets. But like the hotels had such character for not having any character. You know, I thought it was real. And the showers were me and Nikki were like, if our boobs were any bigger, like we're in trouble because it was hard to shower because we're like, okay.
Oh, my butt. Every time I would turn around, my butt would hit the knob. So it'd either get hot, cold, or turn off.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
One of those.
But it definitely added to the experience. I totally agree with you, Kat.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're being called, I think if you're being called, it's a hell yes. Yeah. I don't think it's a think about it thing. At least not for me. I feel like you're either in or you're not going to do it. And I think every one of us would probably agree with that. Okay, they want to hear about the witch.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had this great experience. So along the way, we had a lot of different cool, energetic experiences. Me and Danny were clearing people. And we were talking to the trees and all this kind of stuff. And we had a woman, her name is Nadi, and she's from Australia. And there was like 6 of us that just kind of grouped up. And she would always scout ahead. It was so funny. And so we finally just started calling her Scout because we're like, I don't know what you are, but you scout for us. And so she had texted us and told us, hey, there's this woman, make sure you stop. And we weren't very far behind because she had told this woman, she said, this is so funny because she said, there's 5 American women coming. Make sure you make them stop and talk to you. And then we came around the corner and she goes, oh, there they are. And it's beautiful. She was just beautiful. And I was going to bring it out here, but she made homemade rosemary oil. Mm-hmm. And she made it with a couple different kinds of oils, depending what you're called upon. And she was telling us a story and she's just like, no one's come up to my table today. No, none of the pilgrims have come by. No one's really bought anything from me today. And she was telling us about her. And she wasn't doing it in a pity way by any means. She was just like, it was just an odd day. And I was kind of looking at her and I was like, and my spirit kept saying, clear her energy. And I was like, hey, would you let me do some clearing on you? Like I'm really guided to do some clearing. And she didn't hesitate as far as I know. And she was like, yes, I would love that. So I went in the front of her. Danny came, like we just accosted her. And Danny was behind her. I was in front of her. And I started clearing her energy. And then I kept seeing tears coming from her eyes, even though there was no tears. So I kept like taking the tears away. And I was like, my God, there's just so many tears. And she was still sharing different things with us. And then she started to cry. And then all of us started to cry. And then she just kind of fell into my arms and she just sobbed. And I kept seeing these cool visuals when that was happening. And I kept seeing this needle thread like a broken heart. And like it was threading this heart back together. Mm-hmm. And I just like, I was just in the moment with her and I could feel all this energy and I knew Danny was doing stuff. And then the group kind of naturally, organically came into the circle and we all held hands. And I was like, and here is our coven, ladies. Like we all were like, oh, so cool. Oh my God. And then she tells us, oh, back in the medieval times, like there's this great story about the witch in the woods. And I could hear all of our heads going like, oh, you're totally the witch in the woods.
Yep.
And she did a channeled prayer, which was super cool.
Yeah.
What else am I forgetting? We all got oil from her.
Yeah.
And she kept telling us, I've been waiting for you guys. I've been waiting for you guys for years.
I'm getting chills right now.
Yeah, she said 4 years. And her name is Alexandria.
Yep.
Did I say that right? And I can't remember her daughter's name.
Yeah, she just had her daughter. Yeah.
She was young, and her name is like a goddess name. It's a beauty. It's her name means goddess of water, which was super fascinating because Nadi really struggles drinking and staying hydrated, and so she was just thanking us and thanking us and thanking us, and we're all tearing. We're like, oh my God, we met a witch in the woods, and it was so great. So then we're all hyper and excited because we had this amazing experience. So we go to this coffee shop. Sunny comes around the corner. This was the most hilarious point to me. She comes around the corner and she's like, what's going on, ladies? And we're like, oh my God, we met this witch in the woods and we did this healing on her and we changed her life and la, 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 la. And we're like all super excited. And she steps back and starts laughing. And she goes, first of all, she's not in the woods anymore. She's gone. Second of all, you guys actually met a spirit in the woods. She was a spirit that showed up for all of you. Okay,
but she said it in a way. She's like, she was a spirit, right?
Yeah,
that's how she said it.
Yeah, she was a spirit.
No, she's real.
We're all psychic. We're all psychic mediums, and this is what our faces. We were all like, "What?" And she's like, "She was there for your healing, not the other way around." And we were all of our face. I wish I had a picture because we're like, "What now? What?" What do you know? We helped her. She's like, no, because she's like, I was barely behind you guys, and we were looking for her. And by the time Sunny showed up, she was gone. Everything was gone. And oh my God, it was so funny because I just remember all of our faces like, what? We are psychic people. We would know that. And then we're like, oh, she did tell us about the story of the witch in the woods. And then that started coming up on people's phones and we were getting all this validation. Oh, it was so incredible. Like I can't even explain. And then the pictures of all of us with her, like you can feel the magic in the pictures. I posted one of them. I'll repost a couple. But she came in, actually, we did some cool stuff under the moon, me and Kat and Nikki. And she came into our meditation and I was like, oh, the witch is here. And at the same time, Kat goes, oh, the witch is here. Like we both felt her at the same time. And she's come into my meditation a couple times. And I was telling Danny that she comes into my meditations, but she's old. And I was like, if she would have shown herself like that, we would have ran out of the woods because she's very old and wise and kind of an old crone. But in the woods, she showed up as this young, beautiful woman. So that was probably my most favorite piece of it. It was hilarious when Sunny's like, well, she's a spirit, right? What? No.
Like, no, she's real. She's there.
She had a body. She was real. And she's like, no, she showed up for you guys and your healing. And then it made me cry because I kept seeing that needle sewing our hearts, like helping all of our, it was so cool. Oh my gosh, it was so cool.
I think what's funny is whenever we met cool people after that, we're like, are they real? Were they real?
The rest of the time,
that one real? And she's like, yeah, this one's real.
Well, and then we wondered about her brother, Shad, because
I know
he's got long brown hair and he looks like Jesus. And so we kept calling him Jesus Jr. because there was also a gentleman on the trail that had white hair and was older. And so we called him Grandpa Jesus. And Danny and I were walking and all of a sudden Shad would just show up out of nowhere. We thought he was ahead of us or behind us and be like, hey guys. And she's like, I think he's Jesus. And I'm like, I think so too, because he would just show up at the right time, or he would give us something funny, or he'd walk with us for an hour, and then all of a sudden he's gone again. And we're like, where the hell did he go now? Like, where is he now? So we kind of wonder if Shad plays a couple roles in life. Yeah. So funny. So funny. Do you have anything to add about the witch story, Kat?
No, I would just say part of what I loved about some of the experiences is that we didn't care that people were walking by.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of people that walked by while we were doing all that kind of stuff. And normally that would have really freaked me out, you know, like to hide.
Yeah.
And
not anymore. Remember, you gave that up.
I did. I no longer hide.
Yeah.
I'm a dragon person, by the way.
Good job, Kat. Good job.
Out of the closet. So I loved that piece. And I loved that. Oh, and later on, I don't know if you guys knew, but there was a certain point where we were at a cafe. I think it was day 4. And there were a group of us talking. I think it might have been while you were working with Sunny for your healing. And somebody goes, oh, are you that metaphysical group that's on the trail?
I did not hear that.
It was great. I'm like, yeah, there's 36 of us. We're kind of, you know, spread out along the way. But yeah, so
that's awesome.
About us.
Of course they are. Of course they are. We like to make it known that we're around.
Yeah, that we're
well, and then there was a moment that Kat was doing some healing on one of the girls, and it was such an honor to be present to it, because it's someone that, number one, she wouldn't do that in public. Number two, she wouldn't let a stranger work on her that way. And she was feeling her feelings, which she hates doing. And one of the things that she said that she got from the Camino was that she learned she could feel her feelings and not combust, which I thought was hilarious. And I had to remind her, I'm like, you let her do that healing on you, and she's a stranger to you. You've only known her for 3 days, and part-time, because we didn't always walk together. And her face was like, oh, I didn't think about that part. And we had so many people walking by. And so for her and for you, Kat, like, that was a big moment for them to not care. And there was a guy, he walked by and he stopped and he looked at me like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, don't worry about it, dude. Keep walking. And he was like, all right. And he like just stared at us for a while. I'm like, move along. But it was such an honor to see the people that stopped and allowed themselves to do whatever healing that they needed to do.
Yeah.
And I saw other people doing different, cheers and dropping off. There was lots of places that you could take a stone off the ground and you put your belief that you're letting go of, and you can put it on one of the markers, or you just do what Danny and I did and kicked rocks all day.
That's right. I forgot.
We'd see a rock and we're like, oh, there's that story. Screw that. And we'd kick it out of the way, and then we'd kick one out that way. And then she'd be talking about something that she was trying to work through. I'm like, well, there's a rock, kick it. And so she'd kick that story out of the way, and it worked great.
Yeah, it did.
It worked so well. So
I totally forgot about that.
That was one of my funnest parts, was watching you kick the shit out of rocks. Like, get out of my way. You don't belong here. So I think the Camino set up such beautiful ways to create a healing experience, no matter who you were, however it needed to come up. I thought that was super cool. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah. There was the saying of the Camino provides, and it really did. And it really does, and it will continue to. For anybody who goes, just remember that the Camino provides.
Yep. Or as Sunny said, you can also shift it now into the universe provides.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us were like, oh no, now we have to go home. now what do? We have to go home. And like, a lot of us came home, and the people close to us, they were like, oh, good, you're home. Great. Oh, you want to see my pictures? Nah, it's fine. I'm like, what the hell? I've looked at damn vacation pictures and food pictures for 10, like, you're not going to look at my pictures? Like, are you kidding? I was so annoyed with that. And then I remembered it's my Camino. No one else is going to understand what I did on my Camino except the people that were with me. So I just look at my own pictures because then I can relate a little bit too. Reentry can be a little bit tough. Yeah. And I think everyone had some growing pains when they came back in that. Yeah. Hey, Mona's on, and she said, I loved my clearing. Should have walked more with you guys. Well, I'm sure we'll have another chance too.
Yeah.
All right. What was your biggest takeaway, Danny?
Biggest takeaway. You know, and it's funny because we did that call with Sunny after, and she helped me with that because I was just saying how, kind of talking about the reentry, you know, you come from such a loving experience. And I went into it very open, and I've been very guarded in the past, and I'm learning to be open and to anybody and everybody. And it's easy to do it with this group in this community. So I was very excited to do that. So I was doing that. I was loving on anybody I had around me, and it was just so much love. And even the other pilgrims, it was so much love there. I mean, you meet people in the very beginning, and we saw them at the end. I mean, there was Massage Bob.
Bob and his wife Christy and Merlin
and Merlin's mom. And so
that's what she told us her name was when we asked what her name was. She's like, Merlin's mom.
Yeah. So you know, and just throughout, you see different people. You meet people from all over the world, and they're just so much love. And when I came back, it's kind of like everybody's in their stuff, and that's fine because that's where I was, right? That was where I was before I came, and nobody else has had the beautiful experience that I just had. And so so it was it was jarring. It was very jarring. And so Sunny was like, well, you know, you can bring that here. You can be the one that's providing that's giving that's shining that love out. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can. That's right, I can, and I'm gonna. So that kind of changed that perspective of, you know what? Yeah, I'm the one who can bring the Camino to people. I'm the one who can bring that energy to wherever I'm at and just exude it, because and in my mind it's like all of those, it's almost like mechanical, like, oh, you used to do this and this and this and it was guarded, and you know, you used to protect yourself and you wouldn't do that, show that love because you were protecting yourself, and then all of it's like coming up and just falling away. And it's like, you know what, I can just choose to be love, and that's it. And no matter what anybody does, I can set boundaries. I've learned that, and so it's just bringing that forward and now being able to share that and create community through that, because that's what another thing that I really, from that pilgrim community, from our, you know, the spiritual community that we built, and then now our little coven, our Camino coven, I can continue that and experience that love continuously. And that's just because I love that feeling. I really do. And so I can bring that, and that's what I've taken away from it.
Beautiful. How about you, Kat?
I don't want to go after that.
Me neither. You go. I don't want to either. You go.
I guess for me, you know, I'm so galactic. I'm always in the ethers, and I'm not in my body enough. And there's so many things, but I think I actually enjoyed being in my body, because you cannot walk this much and not be present. You just can't. You have to be in your body to do this stuff. And I really loved that. And I found a strength within myself.
Yeah.
You know, there were a few issues with somebody, and I found the strength within myself to set some really healthy boundaries for me, which is new for me. Yay! Because I hate disappointing people. And Sunny was so helpful, and you guys were so helpful with that. You know, I want to be spirit led, and I want to do this work, but if I don't let spirit lead me, I'm not doing it.
Yep.
And that's a huge lesson. I feel so good, and it was easier to do it with all of your support. So thank you, ladies, for all that. And
And I got to tell you guys, as you know, but everybody else, when you're around Sunny, you really can't get away with anything because she knows. Right? She'll come up and
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I'm like, yeah, I know it's me. It's me.
Right.
Just make me cry. It's fine. Let's move on.
Well, she came up to me and she's like, so have you told her yet? I'm like, nope. Okay. Like, I thought I'd get through the coffee breakfast without her asking.
No, of course not.
But that helped. And so I would say for me, those two things, along with everything else.
Yeah.
But those were my two biggest things.
It's really hard to pick. You know, I remember the boundary thing. I remember there was a woman that wanted to walk with me, and I knew not to walk with her. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to walk alone. I need to do this part by myself. And she was so offended. And I was like, it's my Camino. So I get to do it my way. And she's like, okay. And she just kind of went off on herself. And I was like, yep, boundaries are a big thing. So that for sure, that's a takeaway. But I think some of my takeaways is the physical piece was a huge accomplishment for me. Because I love to be active, and I didn't want to be active and miserable. And so to work through the mental barriers that I had around that, I think that was a huge piece for me. Because there were a few people when I told them I was walking the Camino, they were like, you're walking, you better start training. And I'm like, you, like, really? And I thought, oh, but they're probably mirroring what I think about myself. So like, whatever. And so it was a personal cool accomplishment for that, because I really love hiking and I really want to do longer hikes and all that kind of stuff. And it was okay for me to be slow, because what I really loved is once I got through the mental part of it, I created the journey that I wanted.
Yep.
And I think most of my life I fought that journey. And so to have that powerful reminder, and I'm going to like post them everywhere in my she shed, all of your pictures, Danny. I'm going to have to build another she shed. But having the reminder that the community helps me do it. I help myself do it. And the magic came so organically, like we didn't search it out. We didn't really talk about it. I didn't plan to do clearings on the path. I didn't plan to meet a witch in the woods and do all that kind of stuff. So I think enjoying the journey, and I enjoyed the hills by the end of the week too. Yeah. Like I was a little like, oh, okay, all right, let's do it. You know, like it because things that are hard have been, I always learned that they were extra hard. Now it's like, oh, there's a hill, but you know what? I can just do one step at a time. It's okay. So I came back really feeling quite empowered on many different levels. And you can see from in my pictures, you can see what I look like at the beginning of the week, and you can see my spirit shift. And I was tired and puffy, and I'm chunky anyways, but like I so noticed that in the beginning of the week. And then the pictures, all I kept hearing from like Tuesday afternoon on in my picture, you're just glowing. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I am. And so to bring that glow into my daily life, we did it on the Camino. There's no reason not to do it now, every day. So how can I bring that lightness? Sunny, I talked to her yesterday, and she said, it's the lightness. That's the piece that you're bringing home. So what can you do to keep that? And I think we forget to ask ourselves, like, what can I do to feel better? So yeah, it was just an amazing experience. It was just, I highly recommend it if you're a hell yes. I also think there's lots of different kinds of experiences that you could do. You don't have to go hike 100 miles. You could do a weekend trip by yourself. You know, you could take a class or do a retreat or have a session or do mentoring or whatever. But I do really encourage people to stretch themselves, because there's not one person in that group, including Sunny, that didn't somehow stretch themselves in their life in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's the piece most people don't do. Yeah. So I would tell people, get yourself uncomfortable and see what happens. Just see what happens, because you might be surprised at what you can pull out from yourself. All right, ladies, any other questions from our audience? We were in the flow. Everyone was in the flow. It was incredible. Yeah, Linda's ready for her Sedona trip. I'm going to take you hiking, girl.
Yeah.
But Sunny always says mindset. Mindset for me was a huge piece. Like the physical piece was huge for me. A lot of people didn't really struggle with the physical piece. I did. But once I got my mindset, then the physical piece was cake.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. Maybe not cake, but it was.
There was a definite switch for you, because you were very like, okay, I'm slow and I'm so sorry, because we were together that second.
Yeah, I kept apologizing.
I'm sorry. And I'm like, stop, just stop, because I'm here. I'm choosing. I'm here. Yeah. I'm enjoying. This is what I want, and this is what I need. And as soon as that happened, it was.
And everything changed. Yeah, it was so cool.
Did you guys see the one thing that Carol said? Was
sorry,
so
I was supposed to be watching for that.
Learn not to give power to others. I think that was the thing for everybody.
Yeah,
not to give your power away to others. I think that was for a lot of us.
Because we were and there were some things between some of the people within the group.
Yep.
And so the boundaries and learning not to give power to others was also really helpful.
Even when it came to, like, there was moments when we were talking, going back to kind of the witch story, and even when you were doing your clearing cat, is doing your work, and even like where there were moments we were hugging and feeling on trees and stuff.
Right.
There'd be people walking by, and I'd see them, and my mind started going into, oh, they're watching, or what are they going to think? And there was an instant stop, enjoy, do what you're doing. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You can be the weird ones, the tree huggers on the Camino. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. And so it's like, don't give other people your power. There's so many ways that can go.
Yeah, agree. I had a guy, I was hugging a tree and it was full of ivy. And this guy walked by and he's like, oh, too bad that's poison ivy. And I'm like, screw you, dude. I'm from Minnesota. This isn't poison ivy. And he's like, touche. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll hug it all I want. But I do think learning to hold your own power and your own faith and your own self in that week was so empowering. Like, I saw all the women shift, and I thought that was amazing. Like, I could see it in everyone. Oh, Mona says, I have a few more rocks to kick. You know what, Mona? I was going to text you and I forgot. And I was laughing because she had a little moment when she was driving after she got home, little road rage moment. And I had to go to Costco the other day, and I haven't really gone anywhere. Like, I've just been resting. I wasn't feeling good when I got home. And so I've just been kind of resting. And I was like, oh my God, I know what Mona means. Like, these people are driving me crazy. And then I busted out laughing, and I'm like, oh, I have to call Mona and tell her that I just had my own road rage moment. I understand, because we walked everywhere for 3 weeks. We weren't in our cars. We weren't on social media. We weren't connected. It was so funny. And I was like, all right, I need to go back home and not drive for another 3 weeks. Like, I'm not grown up enough at the moment. Yeah, it was really fun. All right. Any other questions from the people watching? There is a tour group. I have to look it up. Nadi gave us a couple that we met along the road. They used a tour group that helped them set up their hotels, their bags, and all that kind of stuff. If you're going by yourself, that would be something that I would suggest. I know there's a lot of people that do the Camino all by themselves, and they just kind of go and stay at the hostels and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm personally not into that. I want to know that I have a bed at night. And they had an amazing trip. They had great hotels. They always knew what was going on. The people that they worked with were very, very good about getting back to them and helping them and all of that. I know the tour company that Sunny used, there was a little miscommunication, or they didn't, like, there was some stuff in the back end that honestly we didn't know about. And so be really mindful of that. But if you're going by yourself, I think it's really important to know where you're going to stay, what your route is. Train on hills. Be really mindful that you have food and water and all that kind of stuff. I actually have a girlfriend on the Camino right now, solo, And there's a couple of you that had asked this offline, and I'm sure she'll be willing to totally share her story and what she learned, because she went by herself. We went as a group, which I think is the best way to go for me. But I would go on my own. Like, I definitely would do it on my own, but I would do hotels over hostels personally.
Yeah.
I just would feel safer doing it that way. But she's doing hostels and she loves it. So it just kind of depends what you want. All right. Do you guys see any other questions on your side?
I didn't see anything.
All right. Anything else you want to say to the people? And otherwise, we will wrap it up.
No.
Hopefully you guys had fun listening to our stories. It was fun. I'm glad you girls were here because I knew it would be fun to relive some of those moments.
Absolutely.
But don't forget, Danny's supposed to do a class on how to take pictures.
No.
Yes. Danny's going to do that for us. She's going to do a pose class.
Oh, goodness. I'm still learning. I was learning from all the cute girls that I've seen. They're doing all these different poses. I'm like,
I can see that my Wi-Fi is starting to mess.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you for showing up. Thank you. And I will see all of my people starting October 1st live every day. So I will see you soon, friends.
Bye.
Goodbye.